Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. Welcome to this presentation offered by the Spiritual School of Golden Horsey Cross, called Planet Earth Transformation Field for the Soul. And this is really a continuation of the presentation that we discussed on October 2nd, Planet in Motion Cosmic Revolution. And before we really jump into the presentation itself, we would like to start asking why it's so important to talk about this theme. We would like to invite you to really look around and think about the world as it is today. On the one hand, we see a lot of good things happening, a lot of advancements in the science, in the medicine, and other fields. But on the other hand, we see a lot of contradiction. We see the misery, we see wars, and also the humankind is really getting out from a very difficult phase that we faced, the pandemic. So probably we ask, what is really going on? Why all this is happening, and what we're doing here? And if there is a God, why he really lets all this happen? And on the other hand, we also have this desire inside of us to find something that we cannot explain. In a phrase, we can just see what is in this slide. It's kind of this longing I feel for everything I haven't seen yet. It's very interesting because we probably feel that sometimes, something that we cannot explain, something that is inside of us that we search for something that we don't know exactly what it is, but we know that is there somehow, somewhere. And probably this longing really brings a lot of, nostalgic feelings in us, and we would like to reach and find perfect justice, perfect love, harmony, beauty, good, in a word, perfection. And it's a contradiction, yeah, because at the same time that we are longing for it, we find a very different situation in the world, in ourselves. Because when we stop and look at ourselves, we see the contradiction that we have inside of us. We have a lot of rage, anxious feelings. We have a lot of things that it's very far from the ideal stage that we really would like to achieve. And then we probably should ask, so why this really happen, and this really happens, and who we really are. And when we really ask this question, we can use, for instance, the words of Elena Blavatsky to try to answer that. So we are kind of pilgrims in the journey, looking for perfection. And the journey that we go to reach perfection is really what we call evolution. And again, it can be very contradictory because we are talking about evolution. And when we see the world around us, we see a lot of things that are everything but evolution. And when we think about that, when we think about ourselves as human beings, we can even say that we are different people in one person, because we use different personas, different masks to really show who you are. Probably we are one person when we are with our families. We may be a different person when we are at work, and maybe a total different person when we are alone. So we have so many masks that probably we do not know at the end of the day who we really are. In France, we can say that we are a collection of pieces. We are a collection of thoughts, of desires, of feelings that are, are totally, put together in a very chaotic environment that it's our inner self, and we express all this chaos in our actions, in our words, in our lives. And to get it a little bit more complex, the universal teaching tells us that what really is always there, coming back and forth in this world, is what we call a microcosmos, a small world. And this microcosmos is like a house that let a lot of different personalities lived in a very long period of time. So today, who is living in this house, in a symbolic way to explain that, it's our personality, it's you, it's me, and we are here. But when we die, this personality will not come back. So we came from dust, and we are going back to dust as personalities. And what remains when a personality dies is really a kind of a magnetical field, a magnetical point that is there, like a summary of the experiences of this personality. So you can imagine that this microcosmos, this house, has a very large number of these magnetic fields or points that create a very complex web that, in a very simple word, we describe as karma. A very simple word to describe a very complex situation, because this karma and all the things that surrounds us in the world influence us as personalities and really make us to do that, this or that. And this is something that also makes us to really search for something. We have this desire to find answers, to really understand what is happening. Some people go after those answers in religion, some other people go after that in science, some other people just don't go after answers because they believe that the world is the world is what it is and everything is okay. But at the end of the day, we really start to search for something. And because this is very common, when we start to search, we go and look for these answers outside of us. We go there again, or we go in religions or in books or in something that can explain what is really going on and what we're doing here and this kind of things. And or some people want to know what really happens when we die, this kind of things. But the interesting thing is like everything that we are looking outside of us, it's really inside of us. Because the universal teaching also tells us that there is a universal principle, an atom, a point, a spark that is eternal and that is always there. This eternal principle that is inside, in the center of this microcosmos, is really what is constant. That is always there. That does not disappear when we as personality die, but that is there, silent, waiting for a personality that can understand, that can realize that there is this eternal principle in the center of this microcosmos, and help this eternal principle, this spark to really wakes up again. Because this eternal principle is like sleeping. It's waiting. It's waiting for someone to really stop all this craziness of the ego or this craziness of our thoughts, feelings, and desires, and really pay attention to this eternal principle inside of us. Uh, and to really listen to that, we need to pay attention. We need to be silent. We need to really stop the ego and stop the egoism. And to do that, we go to we will now link with the main theme that we are discussing here, that's the planet Earth. Because again, we are this ego with the different faces, the different aspects, and we live this illusion of separation, that we are separate from the others, that we are an individual that can do whatever we think we can, and that there's no impact in the others, and that the others do not impact us. And this is an illusion, because at the end of the day, separation is an illusion. The ego, as we know, is an illusion. And the world, as we see today, is really a reflex of our inner world. So the projections that we really have from our inner world is what we see in the external world. So everything we go through, everything that we attract, every situation, every person, it's really something that we somehow attract or reject based on our inner world. So, friends, if our inner world is chaos, of course, what we will see in the external world is also chaos. So, we are not victims of anything that happens to us. We are not really victims of any situation or a person or a destiny. We are the creators of our own reality. So, we are the creators of our own prison. If it's a golden prison or if it's a stone prison, doesn't matter, it's a prison. But we also have the key to get out of this prison, and the key is really to pay attention in this universal principle, this spark that is inside of us and that needs to wakes again. And to do that, to really listen to this soft whispers of this eternal principle, we need to really go beyond the ego. We need to really silence the ego. We really need to put our thoughts and feelings and desires in order. We need to be quiet. So at the end of the day, the ego needs to diminish so this eternal principle, this spark, can really grow and can really put order in the system. Because when you talk about soul, what is really soul? The soul is what animates us. The soul is this principle that can really put us in movement. It's like the breath of the spirit. But today, the soul is mortal because it's totally based on the ego and the desires and the thoughts and everything that are related to the ego. And to really have this transformation that we're discussing here, what needs to happen is that this mortal soul really has to diminish as the ego. So a total new soul based on this, inspired by this eternal spark, can really be born and grow. And then this is the role of the world. The world is our school, and everything that we go through are the lessons of the school, of this school. So everything that we need to experience and everything that we need to go through is really what we need to learn. To learn to really go beyond the ego. This is really our mission. Our mission is to understand that at the end of the day, the ego as we know today is an illusion. And what we really are can be described in this phrase, I am a pilgrim, moving from place to place and going from one house to another until I reach the city and the house that are eternal. And the city and this house that are eternal, they are not a place, they are a state of being, because the eternity is not a place, it's a state of being, it's a vibration, and we can reach that when the ego gets silent, when we really let the real I, the divine I, wakes and grows. When it happens, we really understand what we need to do, and this path that we also know as self-knowledge can really start. So this is the earth, this is the transformation field for the soul. And to finish this presentation, we would like just to mention the role of a spiritual school as the spiritual school of the Golden Rosy Cross. Throughout the eras, and everything that the humankind has been gone, messengers and schools appear to really help the humankind to understand how to do it, how to silence the ego, and how to go beyond the ego. And a spiritual school is much more than teachings and much more than words. The real differential of a spiritual school is what we call the magnetic field, the power field that is really formed by forces that are not egocentric, that are not based in the egoism, but are really formed by the eternal principles that are a total unity, that do not know any separation. So these forces can really help everyone that wants to go into this path in direction of the real house, or the eternal house. So the spiritual school can help offering this power field, and can really be a support to go beyond the ego. So we would like to finish that, inviting you all to follow this path, that it's really a path that guides you to the center of yourself, beyond the ego, where there is this quiet voice that can speak when the ego gets quiet, the voice of the silence. Thank you, and we will be now looking for the further discussion.